Journalists never want to become the story, but that's been hard to avoid with a White House that's declared war on the media. This week, Press Secretary Sean Spicer called out an African-American reporter who then found herself at the center of a debate.
Okay.
Lately, White House press briefings have looked a lot like a schoolyard.
I also quoted, I get you're going to cherry pick. How do you seem to be such an expert in this? Okay, Jonathan, somebody's asking a question. It's not your press briefing. Julie's asking a question. Please calm down.
But this week, when American Urban Radio Network's April Ryan quizzed Press Secretary Sean Spicer on Russia, a line may have been crossed.
It seems like you're hell-bent on trying to make sure that whatever image you want to tell about this White House stays, because at the end of the day, let me answer. Okay, but you know what? You're asking me a question, and I'm going to answer it, which is the president. I'm sorry. Please stop shaking your head again.
That head-spinning scolding set off a torrent of criticism on air and online. Spicer was accused of being racist and sexist, and Ryan, a veteran White House reporter, went from storyteller to main character. She embraced that role, making the rounds on the cable networks to explain her side of the spat.
Disbelief. I was just asking a question, trying to get an answer, and I found myself trying to defend myself. And unfortunately, I was roadkill today.
Spicer had a different take when he was asked about the exchange.
I think if you ask April, both on and off camera during the briefings, she comes up here often. We have very spirited back and forth, and I think that's what makes her a tough reporter. Frankly, I'm sort of astonished.
It's the second time Ryan has been at the center of controversial remarks made by the Trump administration.
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional
Well, I
Hispanic
would.
Caucus?
I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours?
Just a reporter.
Despite the fervor over the feud, Ryan and Spicer seemed to bury the hatchet the next day, at least until the next time.
With that, be glad to take your questions. April.
Well, thank you, Sean.
How are you today?
So we have seen hostility from this administration toward the press for more than a year now. We've talked about it an endless number of times on this show. Is what we saw with Sean Spicer and April Ryan something different?
Just don't know what to do but shake my head on that one, Adam.
Stop that, Callie. Cut it out. You're scaring me.
Of course it was something different. He would never say that to one of those men who have been all up in his face, and they've had some very serious back and forths. And I recognize he's even called a reporter recently an idiot, which just lets you know where he goes. But he would never do that to a man.
That was a woman, I think, who he called an idiot.
I understand that, but I'm saying to you that I recognize that he's gone that far. But that was gendered racism. Shaking your head, please. No, I just wouldn't do that. I've seen people shake their fingers in his face, and, they're almost right up on top of him. He would never say that.
So when he told John Carl to calm down, I think we saw a little clip of that in the piece, that's
different from, he didn't say, ask her to calm down. He said, stop shaking your head.
Issued
It was very specific and has never been used to other things. And what we know about Sean Spicer is this. He has a very small vocabulary that he uses in these press briefings every day. And it's calm down. I'm trying to answer your question. That's not what I said. You're misconstruing me. It's kind of over and over. So
Dan, do you agree with Callie, gendered racism?
I totally agree with Callie. I mean, it's one thing that Sean Spicer mixes it up with reporters. He's jumping ugly on them, fine. What he did with April Ryan was patronizing and condescending in a way that he doesn't get when he's dealing with white male reporters, even when he's angry with them.
I don't know. I think what I saw with Donald Trump, the Donald Trump moment when he asked her to broker a meeting with the Congressional Black Caucus, to me was much worse and was much more explicitly race-based. No, I mean, stipulated that women have a harder time in the workplace and that black women have an even harder time in the workplace. Stipulate. I think what Sean Spicer does with every reporter is outrageous and crazy. That's why the Melissa McCarthy SNL sketch works so well. And I'm not sure I draw that much of a distinction.
Have you seen him do that with anybody else?
I haven't. Well, I'm not such a glutton for punishment that I've watched every minute of every briefing.
I pretty much have watched. Never has he even come close to anything like that. Never. I'm telling you, calm down. You don't have the story right. I'm trying to tell you, and the most extreme, I guess, was you're an idiot. I would even go with it if he would have called her an idiot. Then that's more in the space of what he normally says.
I will grant you the most condescending thing to me was the calm down.
Well,
that was to
but
a
for
white
me,
man.
That's
yes,
a white
that's
man.
right. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
it reads differently to
calm
me.
down to me and don't
you know.
shake your head to me. Feel kind of the same.
No.
All right, John Keller.
Well, I'm not interested in breaking the tie here. I want to try to make a broader point here. I'm reminded of a moment in the first Romney-Kennedy Senate debate in 1994 when Mitt Romney was whining about Ted Kennedy's attack ads on him. And Kennedy looked at him and said, Mr. Romney, your pain over my ads and my pain over your ads is nothing compared to the pain of the American people. I don't think the points made here notwithstanding, I don't think the pain of the anguish of April Ryan or any other journalist having to deal with this creep, or his pain and having to deal with their questioning, is of great, broad social interest. What does strike me is the way that little clip you showed of the 4 boxes of screaming heads on CNN, the cable nighttime scream show culture has now permeated the interaction between
You're
journalists
jumping the
and
gun
White
on our
House.
second. So hold that thought,
Sorry.
because we're going in exactly that direction. I have to say, though, and of course you, like me, you are a white man. Isn't it a little easier to say there's no greater cultural significance involved here when you're a white guy like we are, as opposed to a black woman like Cal is? I mean, serious, just the vantage point.
I don't argue with Callie's assessment of this. I'm not positive of it, but I don't argue with it. The fish rots from the head. You saw the way Trump treated April Ryan.
Yes.
Would it really surprise you if Spicer had absorbed some of that same hateful motivation?
Yeah, and your point is well taken, John, that people ultimately don't really care about how reporters are treated. I understand that. But when the White House press secretary is treating an African-American female reporter in a way that's sexist and racially demeaning, that needs to be pointed out.
And it's also worth noting that this happened right around the same time that Bill O'Reilly talked about how Representative Maxine Waters wears a James Brown wig, which he later apologized for. What was the hashtag this inspired? Black women at work?
Black women at work, and a lot of black professional women, both in the business and out, have just listed all the kind of stuff. They said, not surprising to me. This is what I hear all the time. And, so it's there, and it's unfortunate that it's there. And I'm not even going to use the word hateful with him to say that, except that he's absorbed in his very being some of the fabric of the kind of racial coding that goes on in this country. And it comes out in these kinds of moments.
And if you've ever lived in a crappy apartment in Alston, you know that when the lights come on, the cockroaches scatter. And that's, I think, what we're seeing, too.